We learn more about the Silicon Valley bank crash. The fallout is already starting to affect small businesses and regular people. This story is just starting, but here are a few personal stories that show what's happening and how this is going to affect everyone. This is going to be absolutely massive. Okay, quick background. Silicon Valley Bank had more than $150 billion in assets. They had a bank run, and now they don't have any money. All of the people or companies that had accounts at SVB are going to lose most, if not all, of their money. But it was insured by the FDIC, so it might not be a total loss. We'll get into the boring bank insurance part in a little bit. Let's just jump right into these personal stories. In one of the earliest symptoms of this crash, the sellers on Etsy have not been paid. Etsy is an online gateway that allows regular people to make things and sell them globally. It's basically where the term momtrepreneurs came from. It's a craft site. You can make jewelry, pottery, clothing, handmade stuff like that and sell it online. Etsy's kind of like eBay in the way that they handle all the transaction details. As a seller, you create the item, take pictures, write the listing. Etsy will advertise it, collect the money from the time of the sale, and facilitate the transaction. When you sell an item on Etsy, they take a small cut. They pay the taxes, and then they send what's left over to you. You can choose when you want to get paid, once per week, even once per day. Now, many people choose to get paid on Fridays, like a traditional job. But this Friday was different. No payments were sent. Etsy used Silicon Valley Bank, and Silicon Valley Bank is closed. They are no longer processing any transactions because they don't have any money. So as you can expect, people started freaking out. Most of the sellers on Etsy are working a side hustle to get a little extra cash. Now, some do it for a hobby, and there are very, very large Etsy stores with hundreds of sales per day. These stores have employees. Well, they aren't getting paid either. But the ones that are getting hurt the most are small businesses. Maybe single moms selling craft supplies. But they need that money for rent, food, car payments, regular day-to-day stuff. Now, Etsy did respond very quickly, and they sent out an email saying they know about the problem and they're working on it. Hi there. We wanted to let you know there's a delay with your deposit that was scheduled for today. This delay was caused by the recent developments regarding Silicon Valley Bank, who Etsy uses to facilitate disbursements to some sellers. We're working with our other payment partners to issue your deposit as soon as possible. We apologize for any inconvenience or disruption this may have caused. We know that you count on us to help run your business, and we understand how important it is for you to receive the funds when you need them. Please know that our teams are working hard to resolve the issue and send you your funds as quickly as possible. No further action is needed at this time. Please feel free to grab your ankles. Well, they're not giving you a lot of options here. Sit back and wait what they're telling you. Etsy is a huge global company. I highly doubt they put all their eggs in one basket. I'm pretty confident they'll be back on track soon. Now, Etsy as a company is still solvent. They still make many transactions every day, probably millions. So they're getting cash flow. But if they're using tomorrow's cash flow to pay yesterday's bills, this is a Ponzi scheme. If they reach the point where they don't have enough money, this is going to be really scary for a lot of people.
Are you an Etsy seller and didn't get paid today? Neither did I. So apparently, Etsy partners with Silicon Valley Bank, which I guess failed today or something. I don't know what's going on with that. But they're saying that they're going to try to pay us on Monday, but they're not sure. So they're just holding our funds and not paying us. And that's a little scary. Like, I'm freaking out. I'm a mom of three. I run a small business. I do this from my home. Those funds feed my family and pay my bills. So in the meantime, if you planned on purchasing from my Etsy shop, please visit my new website and purchase from there. They do not partner with Silicon Valley Bank, and I should be able to get paid. But thank you guys for all the support. Fingers crossed that we get our funds on Monday. Have a good weekend, guys.
Now, if you want to help that woman, her shop is Little Miss Lovely US. Her video pretty well sums up what happens when people get just absolutely blindsided by news. She looks terrified. There was a toy company that was made famous by Drew Barrymore and Neil Patrick Harris. Camp Toy Store is based in New York City, but they use SVB too. They also got locked out of their money, so they took an interesting path to get emergency money. Everything is on sale. Discount code BANKRUN for 40% off. That's a clever idea. However, just imagine the position they're in. They need to sell everything at 40% off just to get emergency money to get by this week. So at the end of the week, they've got no merchandise. And they use their emergency money to meet operating costs, payroll, mortgage, rent, stuff like that. So they have empty shelves and an empty bank account. How do they refill the store with new toys? They're kind of screwed. Do they take out a loan to buy more supplies? Well, with inflation and supply chain issues, this might be their last sale. You see how this snowball gets bigger and bigger? At some point, it gets too big to run away from. Now, these problems are going to affect hundreds, if not thousands, of small businesses that are just teetering on the edge. Some are just barely getting back on their feet from being closed or restricted during the pandemic. If this sounds bad, yeah, it is. I said I was going to get back to the FDIC insurance stuff. See, when you have money in a bank, your funds are insured with the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. The FDIC is an independent agency created by the U.S. Congress to maintain stability and public confidence in the nation's financial system. They used to insure your bank deposits up to $100,000. The way that works, if you had $100,005 in the bank and the bank collapsed, you would lose $5 because the $100,000 was insured. After the banking crisis in 2008, they raised that number to $250,000 per account. Silicon Valley Bank had $152 billion in uninsured assets. That's gone now. I mean, seriously, it's just gone. But the FDIC will step in and pay up to $250,000 to all accounts that were affected. Now, I'm speculating that more banks will follow soon, and the FDIC will have to pay more to insure those accounts as well. So how much money does the FDIC have on account? Any guesses? I found this on their Wikipedia page. Under the Dodd-Frank Act of 2010, the FDIC is required to fund the Deposit Insurance Fund to at least 1.35% of all insured deposits. In 2020, the amount of insured deposits was approximately $8.9 trillion, and therefore the fund requirement was $120 billion. The FDIC doesn't have enough money to cover the value of one Silicon Valley Bank. But don't worry, they are backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. Yep, they're going to just print more money from thin air to cover the losses. So now we come to a decision point. The Federal Reserve Bank is in an impossible position. If they do nothing, depositors, businesses, and banks lose massive amounts of money that they didn't even know was at risk. Then more bank runs come. Then the banks crash. Probably all of them. Probably by the end of day Monday. Now maybe it makes it until Friday, but banks are going to get caught up in the contagion if they do nothing. Or they admit there is a crisis and they put a plan together that saved the banks. This means they have to finally announce that our financial system, the entire system, is weak. And it's in serious trouble after telling us it was fine over and over and over again since Biden was installed. It's bad either way. So if you're watching this on Sunday, go to the bank, grab a little cash just in case. Yeah, sure, this is going to make the problem worse. But what if you don't, and we have a bank holiday and they're closed for a few days? What are you going to do? Okay, maybe this is just nothing. It'll all blow over. Nothing to see here. Place your bets. I got another video coming later, so I'll see you soon.